Hello everyone, this is Charlotte, and this is a podcast called Chatting in Cars. It's where I pick out random topics from a bag and discuss them at length on tangents, intermingling many stories into one. It is a long-winded experience. You might want to sit down for this one. There is a disclaimer at the start of the podcast where I talk about I swear, because I'm an adult and it's fun and I enjoy it. I'm going to keep doing it because I feel that you should put your efforts into things you find positive and wonderful. So I'm going to swear. I like swearing. Anyway, there's also another disclaimer, well, the same disclaimer, saying that I talk about sensitive topics. I do talk about sensitive topics. These are all things I've gone through or I've been attached to or had done to me or I have knowledge of. So yes, we're going to talk about some weird shit. If you don't want to hear about some weird shit, and I'm glad some of you will never have to go through this weird shit because it's horrible at times. If you don't want to hear about that, you can absolutely change the channel and go find something interesting. There's a lot of cool, interesting documentaries about Halloween at this point on YouTube. I suggest doing that. The topic for today is tacit knowledge, which shouldn't be one of those weird ones. Sorry, I'm just watching someone not indicating. Shouldn't be one of those weird ones with intermingling stories about trauma, but you never know. You never know. Once I get going, I tend to let my mind wander. As far as I know, and from what I can remember when I was doing my teaching degree, tacit knowledge is hands-on experience which helps you develop your skills in certain scenarios and contexts. Tacit knowledge is learning by doing, not just rote learning, which is reading texts and assuming that you know what you're doing. Or just hanging around people and hoping you know what you're doing. You actually have to do it yourself. I find this a whole big thing to discuss at the moment because we've got a lot of celebrities standing in like they know their shit. And it's giving me the shits because they haven't actually learnt by doing. They've just stood next to someone who actually does know what they're doing, taken a picture and then taken the credit, and that just pisses me off. I don't know about the rest of you, but it gives me the shits. There's no value to these people. It's like someone else doing the job and you taking the credit. Anyone who's been in the workplace knows how much of a shit deal that is. It bugs the fuck out of me. So, there's a few. If I see, what's his name? Sean Penn going to the Ukraine, talk about soldiers fighting one more time, I'll kick the shit out of him. I don't know. We got to get some awareness about this. It's like, you are not a soldier. You have never lived in the Ukraine. You have no understanding what the fuck these people are going through on a day-to-day basis. You're not currently fighting. All you've done is turned up with a camera crew and taken the credit. It's, what is it? It's false virtue? Something like that? It's one of those phrases where they want to be associated with this good cause because it's bandwagoning, but they don't want to actually do anything about it. That annoys the fuck out of me. It's like, I know this is a good cause. I'm going to exploit it for my PR benefit, but I'm not actually going to do anything to help or, encourage these people, really. Apparently, it's also linked to a strange amount of arrogance as well. That's assuming they even want your identity or your image anywhere near their cause. It's like, who the fuck do you to say that you're that important, that you should be associated with this? It bugs the fuck out of me. It's like, it's conceit, man. It's just really conceited. People thinking too highly of themselves that they should be representing these causes. There's no humility there. Besides the fact that they haven't done any of the groundwork, and then suddenly they have to, they get deified for associating with these people, even though they've got no fucking background in it. It bugs the fuck out of me. It's not real. There's no depth to it. It just bugs the fuck out of me. Anyway, so tacit knowledge by doing. I will always, always, always encourage people to learn by doing. I know some people are good at it, some people aren't good at it. Some people can pick it up just by hearing it. Some people are visual learners. They'll pick it by just seeing what it is. I think most people will find they're a combination of all three. And there's more ways of learning as well, obviously. This is just, from my experience, the main ones. Some people can rote learn. Anyone with, eidetic memory can just look and remember. I might have got that wrong. I could be wrong. I'm thinking sort of, what's that brown book? Where he's looking at symbol, he goes, oh, it means this. I can decipher this. I don't know. Something about holy blood or something. Anyway, the detective looks at these clues on the ground and he can instantly decipher what it means. I'm going, yeah, right, eidetic memory. Sure it is. No, I'm just really good with symbols. Some people can do that. Some people are savants where they can just remember shit. I'm in awe of those people. That's a miracle as far as I'm concerned. But I think most people will run by what is it? What is that quote? I hear, I listen, I see, I know, I do, I understand. Is it that quote? I could have misquoted that. But most people need to be involved in something to actually pick it up. Like if you're learning a second language, you want to be involved in the culture and the practices and all of it to understand. It's just easier to understand something with a bit of context to it. So tacit knowledge comes from feeling out the way in which the content is applied to real life examples. In teaching, for example, when you sit your first, you do all your theory units. Actually, you do your theory units in coinciding with the actual practice. But you do 2 weeks in your first prac, 2 weeks in your second week, in your second prac, 2 weeks in your third prac, and then you do a full term teaching where you take the class on the whole, you take everything on for a term, and you are actually living what it is to be a teacher as a student teacher. I hope they get paid at some point, because we were always hearing whispers about getting paid internships for that final year, for that final term. I never saw any money. I'm a bit pissed off because I was a starving student, but it would have been nice. So I hope they do get paid at some point. But the whole theory behind it was you understand why we do these practices first. You can learn the content, but until you've actually lived it, you won't be able to see or understand how it presents in real life situations, shall we say. You need the practice to build up your skills as well. I suggest if you ever are becoming a teacher, you take on a relief teaching position before you take on a full-time position. It is a bit of a baptism of fire. You will deal with absolutely everything you ever come across as a teacher within the first year of relief teaching. It's gonna make your head spin. And if you're a graduate teacher, whew, my God, be prepared to cry. But I've been doing relief teaching for 11, 12 years now. Wow, I had a contract with year twos. It was alright. It was a bit stagnant, but yeah, I got on with it. I prefer relief teaching because it keeps you on your toes and helps you think strategically about things. But I recommend beginner teachers learn about teaching practice through, just being everywhere, trying everything. That's what you're supposed to do. The more exposure you've got to something like any kind of educational stimulus, the more you're going to pick up. You're going to be able to have to adapt. It becomes elastic, your tacit knowledge. You are better adapted to suit your skills or reactions or behaviors to particular environments if you actually expose to them. More varied experience. We become so stagnant in the way we approach things if we don't vary up our day. So the more the merrier, I'd say. That translates to all kinds of things. So like when I was going through, the whole homelessness poverty cycle thing, most of the skills I learned for recovery financially was through living in an already poverty-based cycle. Growing up, we never had any money, so, I saw what everyone else was doing. I lived it myself. And when it came to the crunch, I was able to apply those skills I'd already pre-learnt as tacit knowledge. I'd lived it. And I was able to get out of debt and basically get on with my life, rebuild. And I've had to rebuild twice now, which is kind of shitty, but it's part of the game, isn't it? You can't hedge your bets entirely. You have to take things as they come. It's always good to have the skill set in the toolkit. You want to be able to flex and say, okay, I know I can get through this because I've done it before, right? I get a bit angry when people who have no experience or anything stand up and say, I know what I'm doing. It's like, I have to be seen to believe, dude. I want to see that first. Show me first. Don't tell me. Show me. Because you often find that people will pump themselves up without actually having skill sets or experience or anything, just to get a position or to get recognition or credibility or something like that, updates, in Reddit terms. And then when it comes to it, they fail miserably and they look like a prat. And I mean, in a sadistic way, I kind of look forward to it because I like real. I don't like people lying about who they are, what they're doing, or what they can do. When I see people fail because they haven't prepped or anything like that, I'm like, well, this is what happens. This is cause and effect. you fucked up. Here's the consequence. And I am a connoisseur of consequence. So I do enjoy, assholes getting their comeuppance. It's a bit harsh, but, this is how we learn as a people, right? It's survival. If you say you're something and you're not, never mind imposter syndrome, never mind getting people to feel sorry for you because you claim to have this imposter syndrome. If you are actually an imposter, you will be found out, and fuck it. Why not? Because it takes away from anyone who's actually put the work in to actually do it the right way. Bugs the shit out of me. Same as like nepotism and cronyism. It's like people getting jobs not because they've trained themselves or because they actually know what the fuck they're doing and because they've lived it or anything like that. It's because they know a guy. Someone got a job because they know a guy. It's like, I've got a friend that's good for that. It's like, are they though? Have they got any qualifications? Have they lived the experience? Do they have any tacit knowledge? No, but because they know someone who's higher up, they got a job. That shits me off. It's like, I really cannot stand that. You shouldn't do that. Because again, it takes away from anyone who's put the effort in, who's taken the time, who's get it right, who's gone the right ways. I would take someone who's proper qualified over a guy any day. Because inevitably, these people fuck up in the end. Or they just bring down the whole system. Like if you're working in a business and it got passed down to, I say, kind of in hereditary terms, it got passed down to the next generation, even though the next generation hasn't got any kind of skill set or anything designed to keep it running, I laugh my ass off if it failed. I'm going, because you shouldn't just be handing it down because it's hereditary and this is your bloodline and this is what it is. These people are unqualified to deal with this situation. They have no concept of the business. They have no idea of how it runs, what the properties are of the business, who the clients are, what you're trying to do. It's like they've got no value. And often these people are, spoiled shits. They've got no inclination to do justice by this business. They just want, the popularity, say. Am I targeting a particular group here? I don't know. They want the popularity or the money or the prestige associated with the position of being associated with this group. But they're not actually willing to do the fucking work. And that bugs the fuck out of me. There's a few groups I can think of that have got those traits in common, yeah. Don't even get me started. The current group I'm currently looking at it, I'm not impressed. I see a lot of ego. I'm not going to say which one it is, but you can guess. Maybe you can guess, I don't know. We've got the main boss that passed recently, shall we say. And I'm looking at their descendants and I'm going, oh my God. There's not one person in there I can't see a flaw with that will fuck up the system. It's like, I worry. But then again, some things are meant to crash and burn. Anyway, we can't control all the factors in this. We have to see how it plays out. These are the cards. We just watch. Anyway. Oh, look, a bus. What are you doing, guy? Oh, I know you. I've seen him catch a bus before. Sorry. All right. Weird coincidences. So I would rather, people be qualified and have a background in sort of, what they're talking about rather than actually just bullshitting. Although you could say I'm probably bullshitting. I don't know. You wouldn't know because you've never seen any of my degrees. So, call me out on my bullshit. I hope you do, actually. I love that. I can take feedback. I like it. It's fun. But no, I'd rather see people who have actually put the work in. I mean, it's meritocracy, isn't it? Aren't we supposed to be working and getting recognition? And when you get your recognition, then you get the job and you get all the updates and all the rewards and everything, you put the fucking hard work in. That's what it fucking should be. Like, when we used to have kings, it used to be like proper kings. Not because it was hereditary passed on, but because we actually won, the hearts and souls of the people of the nation through good deeds and valor and honor and things like that. Right now we're just passing it on to any twat that fucking turns up. It's getting annoying because they're not fucking worth it. But because we've done it so long that we just pass it on without thinking, because it's in some genetic thing rather than actually someone who's earned it or fucking shows any merit towards, at this point, even a moral compass at this point. It's just, it fucks up the whole system. People don't want to believe or follow that anymore because they're hugely flawed. Morally flawed. It's wrong. and they're coming across as very spoilt and ungrateful and things like this, and they're not for the people. They're just out to profit themselves. Bugs the fuck out of me. It's not just like principalities. It's governments as well. It's anyone who's put in a position of power. It's self-serving bullshit. People aren't going to follow that flag. They don't want to. They want to know that they're being protected and looked after and cared for. As a collective, maybe. I don't know. As individuals, probably. It depends on the norms and cultural values around you. If you're, I don't know, China, you want to be seen as collective, maybe. I don't know. If you're a westernized country, you want to see as an individual. But how can you be looking after the people on the whole if you're just, hoarding wealth and doing things that only benefit you? It bugs the fuck out of me. I don't know. No, I'm going off on a tangent anyway. I'm getting pissed off about rich people. And then people praise them for it. It's like, yes, take all our money. We can't afford heating or food or anything. But that's fine because you're a representation of God? The divine representative on earth, even though you committed adultery and you fucked over a shitload of people and the Magna Carta counts for crap. But that's fine. We'll still give you more money. Do we set our own beds on fire? I don't know. Oh my God, I don't know. And why are we doing it? Because it's familiar and we've done it this long, so why not carry it on? It's like, it's not that it's right or anything. I don't know. People, I don't know. That's what, don't get me started. Anyway, tacit knowledge. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. It's always best to develop your skill set. As I said before, even when it comes to things like gender norms, I don't believe in gender because everybody's doing everybody's job. There's no assigned sex-based jobs anymore. Everyone's doing everyone's job. If physically, like in biological terms, if you are not seen as a strong person because you haven't got testosterone, I admit guys have testosterone, which makes it easier for them to build muscle so they can be more capable of lifting heavy things or, doing strong stuff, like physically strong stuff if they need to. I admit that I have no problem with the biological sides of sex. That's just the way things are. I don't care about that. That's not any kind of, they're picking on us because we got a uterus, some kind of thing. It's like, if that's the way it is, that's the lay of the land. I don't care. Gender, on the other hand, I don't care because tacit knowledge-wise, you can learn anything. You can learn anything. As long as you do it enough, you will pick it up. Looking at playing the guitar. When I was young, I was chiseling up slate floors to pay for my ball gown. I learned to renovate houses out of necessity, not because my uterus said this is what we do. There's no real reason to reduce yourself to what your sex is perceived to be should be doing. There's just no reason to. I can understand child rearing, although it's severely biased to this point because I didn't assign myself to child rearing at all. Oh, but technically I'm rearing someone else's children, and I've been doing that for a while, so I suppose so. Seemingly en masse. But anyway, I didn't have my own. I miscarried twice, so I had the chance to, but fate of God, hand of God intervened, I don't know. And the circumstances weren't ideal, so it was probably a blessing that I didn't have them. If you listen to the other podcasts, I go into depth in. I am going to do one about miscarriage, though, because I think that is something that should be discussed. Because, hopefully not many people have to go through it, but you still need the insight, right? But I didn't do the birthing of my own children. But then again, you get people standing up who have had kids and then suddenly they know absolutely everything about kids and education. Oh, that blows my mind. Helicopter parents, I call them. Very itchy ear. I don't agree with that either. It's because, just because you've had a kid doesn't mean you know about them. There are tons of parents out there that have had kids accidentally, have completely cocked up the kid's life. And then, I don't think they should be aiming for some kind of accolade where they're perceived to be the saint. It's like, I've had a kid, therefore I know everything about it. It's like, no, you might have some knowledge of your child. Let's not look at some collective, you can't just generalize that because you've had one kid you know about all kids. I've taught thousands of kids at this point. I don't know about all kids. I know about the ones I've seen in particular contexts, facing particular experiences. I couldn't vouch for all fucking kids, so I don't call myself some, I don't say all kids need to do this, or all kids do this, or we need to look at this. particularly when celebrities stand up and say, without any kind of qualification or understanding, besides the fact that they've had a kid or 3, that we need to pay more attention to kids' education. It's like, do you? Are you a teacher? Do you know anything about the education system, the theory, the background? Have you lived it? Have you worked in it? Are you anything but a baby factory at this stage? No, then sit down. Just sit down. It is not your space or platform to talk about this. This is not yours. But because we've created this cult of celebrity, these people are put on these, pillars of virtue, apparently, where they know everything. Not that they've done anything to credit the profession or the practice or the process or anything, or got any understanding, other than that they've been standing next to someone who's been a teacher and taken their picture with them. It's like, that pisses me off still. It does. Because it negates all the work and effort that someone like me has put into their career, all the time and attention that I put into the kids, into the process, into the practice, as an actual teacher, as an actual person who's done the job, who's seen the effects of it, who knows the profession, who's lived it. But then you get some twat standing up saying, we have to look after the kids. I've had a kid, therefore I know everything about kids. It's like, no. This false virtual signaling, so it gives me the shits. It's like, when people try to create an image without actually having the shit to back it up, bugs the fuck out of me. It really does. It does. Angelina Jolie going to some third world country to spruik her image. Do you actually give a fuck? If you gave a fuck, shouldn't you be giving all your money to them or something to help them house and stop them starving? And no, I just wanted it to look good on my CV. It's like, what the fuck? And you got some people at this point who are trying to be seen as this mother figure, this all-mother figure. That gives me the shits because it's falsified. They've taken elements in common culture that are perceived to be related to this all-mother figure, and without actually backing it up, without living the experience, without actually doing anything associated with the credibility side of the business. They're saying, I'm this because I took a picture of me doing this. I've been associated with this crew. Never mind that they're spending maybe their husband's money on this, so it's not even their money that they're using. It's not their credibility that they're using. It bugs the fuck out of me. It's fake. It's fake bullshit. It bugs the fuck out of me. If you're really concerned about children's education, you would be a teacher. If you're really concerned about children's childcare, you'd be a childcare worker. If you're really concerned about food banks, you'd work in a food bank, not just for a day. You would get involved constantly. Live it, mean it. That's tacit knowledge. Don't just say it, fucking do it. Back up your shit, because it bugs the fuck out of me. It does. I mean, it's the equivalent of me to walking into a surgery and saying, I'm a doctor now. Why? I had a cut once. I put a Band-Aid on it, so now I can do surgery. Fuck off. No, that's not real. No one would trust me with a scalpel. I wouldn't trust me with a scalpel. I don't even like razors at this point. I do weird shit. Not horrible shit, but weird shit, yeah. It's not self-harm, it's grooming, but I'm not going into it. But you can't just claim shit because you got a camera on you. You can't just do that. It's like when Putin invaded Ukraine and annexed the Crimea. It's like, oh, we're holding elections now. Oh, we're gonna put in a what is it, police state? No, you're fucking not. Just because you said it doesn't mean it's happening. You actually have a recognized authority in that area. You can't just say it and it will happen. That's like false manifesting. It's like, I said it, therefore it's true. It's like, bull fucking shit, dude. It's not happening. No one's going to stand for it. You haven't got any backup. No one's supporting you in this cause. And no one's going to fucking enable you. Fuck off. It's not real. It's fake. A moissanite, mate. It's worth fuck all. Bugs the shit out of me. Anyone seen Snatch? I highly recommend it. I love it. Wow, okay. Not talking about the machine. I'm talking about the actual movie Snatch. What is it? Guy Ritchie. Good film director. Interesting. I think he's a Cockney, actually. I don't know. Gonna have to look into that. But the fakes. You will only be able to dispel the fakery through tacit knowledge. You have to actually live it. So when you're talking about even like spiritual awakenings and things like that, you got people who are doing the bandwagon jumping at the moment, woke people, Not all woke people. There are subgroups within every fucking movement that will claim belonging to a movement in order to profit. Meghan Markle's one of them. I'm sorry, Harry, but she is. She is not woke. Wokeism is basically doing the right fucking thing. It's common sense. It's moral, common sense. You see wrong, you fix it. You don't take a picture of yourself doing it. You don't make any money off of it. You just do it because it's the right fucking thing to do. That is wokeism at its purest. As soon as you start profiteering off it, you fucked it. It's like people who protest and then turn to looting. It's like as soon as you start looting, you fucked your argument. It's like it doesn't work. You negated it because you made it into something else. Now it's profiteering. Now it's bandwagoning. Now it's, you're not going to go through any kind of spiritual awakening without having some pain. There's always pain. And there's always a reshuffling of values. There's always a reconfiguring of what you believe. You have, ego death, of course. Everyone has to learn humility at some point. You have to figure out how you're going to reapproach life. It's reassessing what you value. Everyone goes through an ego death. Everyone goes through the dark night of the soul. If you've gone through a heavy, depressive state where everything's going fucking wrong, that's your dark night of the soul. That is your chance to redo or reconfigure what is wrong in your life. Because something in your life, you go into a deep depressive state, everything feels like it's dying. Something in your life is not right. That's your body saying, this is not fucking right. Something I'm doing is not right. I need to rethink this and change it. That's your chance. Some people will just carry that fucking state on for the rest of their life. They just carry it on because maybe they get comfortable. I don't know. Some people crave depression and anger, and it's familiar, and they get a high off it. They're sadistic. They're masochistic. Some people like it. It's like, oh, this is the way it is. I've had it in song, so we're going to keep it going. It's like, no, this is your chance to change. You can change. Absolutely. Things change. The best way to cope with these horrible experiences, and I've had quite a few now because 2018, 2008, I can list a few more, my childhood, everything goes to shit, and you have to reassess what you are valuing in life and ways you're going to do things. And the best way to do that is through tacit knowledge. Live it. Your body is designed to show you the ways in which things don't work. If you stick your hand in a fire, it's going to fucking hurt. What's your first reaction? Pull it out, right? Anyone with a brain cell say, ow, that fucking hurt. Your body, when you're going through the dark night of the soul, is saying, my circumstances are hurting me. I need to change something. I need to pull myself out the fire. So you need to actually get up and do something. And you can do that through tacit knowledge. It's like, that is your tacit knowledge. Physically, you've felt something, you've gained knowledge and understanding from it, so you change it, right? You use that knowledge in the future experiences to make sure that you don't make some same fucking dumb decisions. So you don't have to feel that same pain. It's all part of cycle closing as well. Anyone who's into karmic cycles or wants to talk about that, I would love to do a podcast on that. We're all facing cycles. We're facing cycles from previous generations, from previous lives. Ones that we haven't figured out in the last life will follow us into this life, if you're into that. Of course, you don't have to believe that because that's just my input and my understanding of certain things. You might have your own belief sets. I believe that. Okay, let's go for it. I love that. And I definitely want to hear about it, definitely. But tacit knowledge from previous lives will get you through horrible experiences in this life. Maybe in a past life I've known what poverty is already and I've picked up some skills to help me deal with this. There's always something, it's come from somewhere. You might call it divine intervention, maybe divine inspiration, but maybe it's just tacit knowledge from previous life. Who knows? We've already lived it. So I know in this time I don't want to do that. It's like, I know I have for example, no inclination towards drugs or anything like that. Maybe that's a cycle I've closed in a past life. We never know. You won't know until you get there, till the end. So I like to keep my options open in understanding ways of doing things and where belief system things come from. I know it sounds a bit funny. It's not, selective. Some people might say it lacks faith. Some people think faith involves picking one religion and sticking with it. I'm like, no, I want to understand the divine on a whole. I want to understand all elements of the divine. I want to see all of it. If you stick with one religion, I find that you trap yourself in it. It's excluding every other form of divine act. So you need to understand all of it. So I'm a divinist. But it shows you all kinds of ways of looking at things. So the more the merrier, as far as I can see. That's just building up my knowledge banks on tacit knowledge. I'm learning through experience. If you've gone through trauma, you've learned tacit knowledge. You've known how to cope, how to survive. Most of my survival skills from my TTS come from having to deal with this horrible experiences and finding a way to just either numb the pain or sort out the pain or temper the pain into something that can be used productively. I have a lot of stored rage, I know that much. I was raised by berserkers. A lot of my anger is still there. I didn't have the soft, fluffy childhood. I didn't have the safe environment. I still have hyper-awareness and PTS nightmares. But I know that if I channel it properly, I can turn it into something that's good. And at the moment, I've got five businesses and I've got a couple of degrees and I'm working on saving for an apartment and I'm looking after other people's kids who are going through similar experiences. You can always turn pain into something that is productive. That is your body saying, this isn't right. How can I change this to be better? It's when you ignore your body and, oh, hello. Sorry, nice bike. And, oh God, I got the attention span of a squirrel. It's when you ignore it that it becomes a problem. You sort of, incarcerate yourself in this prison of the mind where everything's shit. Because it feels shit. Because you haven't changed what needs to change. You haven't taken on the understanding of what tacit knowledge you have picked up. You haven't learned from your experiences. You're still relaying the same experiences, which led you to the same shitty experiences in the end, My ex-boyfriend, for example, is going to be relaying the same fucking cycles because he, A, won't emotionally evolve, and B, doesn't want to grow the fuck up. But that's his cycle to close, not mine. I closed mine. My cycle in that relationship was to understand my self-worth, to stop making allowances for other people who don't look after me. I don't want to look after me, don't want to respect me even as a human being. There's a lot of things I need to... Ooh, there's a galah. Sorry, nearly hit a galah. Those things are kamikaze. Don't come to Australia, everything's trying to kill you, even the galahs. But, we've all got cycles. We all got cycles left over from our previous lives, from our family. I know I've got a few curses in my family I need to cross out. I'm doing by avoiding people, generally. My ex-boyfriend was a mixture of my granddad Bob, who was a whore, and my dad, who's got Peter Pan syndrome. And by just disconnecting from this ex-boyfriend and not associating, not settling with or for this guy, I dropped that curse. On two of those curses, actually. I've, brought justice to my nanny and my mum by just not taking on the decisions they took on. At some point it might be seen as running away, but no. You're avoiding your responsibilities. Like, no, because I know that this form of responsibility, this taking care of someone who doesn't appreciate me anyway, is just creating more trauma, and it's not good for me. It's not good for anything. It's not good for my family line, which comes after me. It's just not something I want to pass on in this world. So we don't do it. That's tacit knowledge. That's me looking at them, having lived through the experiences that my mum's gone through with my dad as Peter Pan syndrome, and my nanny as, Bob the whore, the womanizer, and saying, I know this game, I don't like the outcome, I'm not doing it. I'm flexing my tacit knowledge and saying fuck that and walking away. It's like, no, I'm good. You sure you don't want to relive the life? Your parent, your mum, and your... No, I'm good. I've done it already. I've lived it through her voyeuristically. I'm good. So I don't want to take on more trauma and damage to pass on to my... If I have kids, I don't know. I just don't want to pass that on. I don't think it's valuable. It's not knowledge that I would want as a legacy. I'm curbing that legacy now. I'm just saying, no, that's a generational curse I don't want. So you always have a choice. I mean, we say, show me a boy of 8 and I'll show you a man. So I don't know about that, because when I was 8, I was afraid. I was severely damaged, actually. As 8, I was selective mute. That's autism. I had signs of PTS then. I would hide. There was always something going on. But now, as I'm 37, I feel a hell of a lot more confident. I've been through my baptism of fire several times now, and I've learned how to cope and how to survive and how to overcome. And I'm confident in the fact that I can get on with shit regardless of whatever get the fuck, thrown at me in a day. It's like, I'm not going to fold. I'm too angry. I'm channeling my anger into productive things. It's like, I'm going to get stressed out today, I know, because I'm teaching kids that come from a similar background. They're taking on a lot of the horrible energies from their parents' experiences, and they're just, trying to cope with this crazy shit that's going on in their life. But I know that I'm not going to react. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to do anything that perpetuates the already negative energy that's in the area. I'm just not going to, because there's no point. There's no point. It goes nowhere. It helps no one. It doesn't fix anything. So what I'm going to do is every time they arc up, I'm going to neutralize it. I'm just going to neutralize it. It's fine. We're going to calm it down. We're going to take it down a note. We're going to look at this in a different way. We're going to strategize a way to overcome this, okay? I don't want you to stress. I don't want you to, get up your own ass. I'm just going to calm it the fuck down. And it does calm them down as well. And they love you for it, because they're living in chaos at home. When they come to school, I want them to be calm. I want them to be safe. I want them to be looked after and nurtured. I don't want to bring that shit, that elevated, what is it like? The violence of hearing abuse. There is a violence behind it. I remember it when I was a kid. My parents didn't have conversations. They had arguments. Like big ones, big rows, big, huge rows. And it was ongoing. And even now they still don't have conversations. They shout at each other from either end of the house. And I'm saying, what the fuck are you people still together for? It's not something I want to pass on. What I do want to pass on is my survival skills and tacit knowledge that I picked up from these horrible experiences. So if these kids ever have to deal with these experiences, they know what to do without having to feel the intensity of the pain. I want to show them how to do it without them having to go in depth like I had to. What to take away from this, I guess, because I'm sitting outside my school now. Tacit knowledge is invaluable compared to rote learning. You can read as many books as you want. Until you've lived it, you won't understand it. Oh, hang on a sec. I want to see who Spike this is, because he works at my school. Who is it? Ooh, it's a guy of some sort. Some guy that works at my school, and he's got an amazing bike. Holy shit! I've got to see the helmet come off. Anyway, sorry. Who owns this bike? We need to talk about your bike. But if we can pass on this information without actually having to get people to go through the trauma of experiencing it, that's ideal. Of course, people won't understand it, or they won't accept what you're trying to tell them until they've actually lived it. That's a given. I think that's just human nature at this point. People are a bit arrogant in themselves. Humanity is a bit arrogant in itself. That's all ego. But you know what? You can warn them and warn them. You could be the Lorax and you can say you were warned, but until they've actually lived it, they won't believe you. What else to take away from this? I will always accept a real person who's lived it, who's qualified, who's done it, who's put the effort in and time in. Because I do believe firmly in a meritocracy. If someone's standing next to someone who's done the job and taken their credit, I will cut them the fuck down. I don't like that. I don't like fakes. I don't even wear fake jewelry, mate. I don't like fakes. It has to be real. It has to be worth something. And you can always tell the fakes from the real when it comes down to the crunch. So just, if you're having trouble with some arsehole at work, just hold back and wait. Or find out how they're surviving, and take away their survival. If they're living off your input, remove your input. Oh, he's all right today. Sorry, I just saw one of my kids who hurt their leg yesterday. He's riding a bike. All right, that's good. Okay, sorry. Squirrel, as I said before. All right, I want you to have a great day. Okay, take it easy. Don't take anyone's shit. You don't have to. Find a nice tacit way of dealing with it, of course. We don't want to start sending aggressive waves out there. We want to keep things chill. It's only Tuesday. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. And have a good one, right?